James Tellerico, welcome to the Holy Post.
How do you think about the competing claims of different religions? Do you believe Christianity to be more true than other religions? Do you believe there to be exclusivity in these beliefs, that they're incompatible with each other?
I believe Christianity points to the truth. I also think other religions of love point to the same truth.
James Tellerico is a Texas state representative who's gotten a lot of attention on social media for quoting scripture and frequently using his faith in battles with Republicans in Texas.
I believe Jesus Christ reveals that reality to us. But I also think that other traditions reveal that reality in their own ways with their own symbol structures.
I wanted to talk to him for a couple of reasons. First, I wanted to know more about his faith and how he's been able to find a way to talk about it as a progressive Democrat when so many others in his party haven't. And secondly, I was curious what makes his use of Christianity and the Bible in politics different from those on the right, especially Christian nationalists. Is he just doing the same thing they are but getting a pass because he's progressive? Or is there a real difference in how he thinks about the role of faith in the public square?
And I've learned more about my tradition by learning more about Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam and Judaism. And so I see these beautiful faith traditions as circling the same truth about the universe, about the cosmos. And that truth is inherently a mystery. And I think the most destructive thing is when religion becomes an end in and of itself. That's when religion implodes. My pastor always told me growing up that religious symbols are like aspirin. In order to work, they have to dissolve. They point beyond themselves. If you get lost in the symbols, if you get lost in the words, you're missing the reality that we're all trying to describe and talk about. I think of different religious traditions as different languages. So you and I could sit here and debate what to call this cup, and you could call it a cup in English, you'd call it something else in Spanish and French, but we are all talking about the same reality. Yeah, and I mentioned this before we started the interview, but I'm a huge fan of this show in particular, and the conversations y'all are facilitating about faith in our modern context. I believe Jesus Christ reveals that reality to us, but I also think that other traditions reveal that reality in their own ways with their own symbol structures. And I've learned more about my tradition by learning more about Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam and Judaism. And so I see these beautiful faith traditions as circling the same truth about the universe, about the cosmos. And that truth is inherently a mystery. In a lot of ways, I consider myself a theological conservative. And it's important never to mistake some of the propaganda from the religious right starting in the 1970s, 1980s as Christian orthodoxy, right? The idea of you've got to be against abortion or against gay rights, and somehow that is an orthodox Christian position. And I think the most destructive thing is when religion becomes an end in and of itself. That's when religion implodes. My pastor always told me growing up that religious symbols are like aspirin. In order to work, they have to dissolve. They point beyond themselves. If you get lost in the symbols, if you get lost in the words, you're missing the reality that we're all trying to describe and talk about. Important not to confuse that with our
but if I can interject for a moment,
yeah,
I agree with you, but there are a lot of theologically orthodox Christians who believes marriage is between one woman and one man, or who believes in the sanctity of life from conception to natural death.
That's right.
Is there room for people to have those theological convictions without necessarily imposing it to its full extent on everyone in the country and not be canceled within the Democratic Party?
All of us can agree on the measures to reduce the number of abortions. Well, I think if someone like Pope Francis, who may be anti-abortion, but is also anti-war, anti-poverty, anti-climate change, if someone like that can't find room in our coalition, then we have a huge problem. And we're never going to build a big enough coalition to really win the power that it's going to take to transform this country and improve people's lives. And that's the whole reason I'm in politics. Again, I've already got a religion, so I'm proud to be a Democrat, but it is just a political party. And the goal of a political party is to win political power in a democracy. And you do that by persuading people. We don't win power by force. We don't win power by domination. We win power through persuasion. and building a big coalition of people
Amen.
who may not always agree on every issue.
James Tellerico, thank you for your time on the Holy Post, and thank you for bringing the language and ideas of Christian faith into our politics in a way which isn't trying to destroy people. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to thank y'all. Like I said, I've just been, y'all are one of the bright lights. So just want to thank you for the work you do.
Well, we're going to take that clip and spread it everywhere we can. Thank you for the endorsement, and look forward to having you back on the show in the future.
Would love to.
James Dobson died. James Dobson died. Mike Strelo, did you hear James Dobson died?
I did.
Sky, did you hear James Dobson died? Yeah. Mike Geary, did you hear James Dobson died? Are flags at half-mast anywhere? No?